The final score, Solihull Moors 1, Wrexham 0. A familiarly frustrating story, in all honesty. Wrexham have got a phenomenal record on the first day of the season ever since we dropped down into the National League, and an awful record for our second game of the season since we dropped down. We've never won our first two matches, and that pattern was continued in a game which we should not have lost. I mean, just to put things into context, Solihull Moors, who to me didn't look quite the side they've been in recent years, they have lost a couple of important players, and I think they're looking to transition their style of play from that long ball roughhouse team to something a bit more short passing based. They didn't create chances. They scored from a set piece. They had a chance late on when Wrexham were overcommitting. That wasn't the greatest of chances, and they had two shots from the edge of the area in the first half, and that was it. Wrexham, on the other hand, dominated possession, put a lot of pressure on for about 70% of the match, but didn't get the goal, didn't take their chances. So I'm not saying that Solihull didn't deserve to win. If you don't take your chances, you don't deserve to get anything out of a game. But it was frustrating that Wrexham allowed Solihull to nick that goal. It was all very similar to that rather depressing game 2 years ago at Solihull, the game which you remember was when Manny Smith picked up that dreadful career-ending injury. Because although we were widely criticised for our performance on that night, the fact of the matter was it had 0-0 written all over it, and then we switched off at a set piece and got punished late on. Here the goal was earlier in the second half, but the pattern, well, the difference is that it didn't have 0-0 written all over it because we were in control of the game. But again, we shouldn't have let a goal in, and that'll be massively frustrating to Dean Keats and the players. Wrexham started with 3 changes, one of them enforced, of course. Adi Yusuf not fit, so Jake Bickerstaff came in to make his first league start. And then, maybe more surprising, changes on the flanks. So Anthony Jeffrey and Elliot Durrell made way, and instead in came Jordan Davis, who of course had missed the opening game of the season through no fault of his own, and Paul Rutherford. Wrexham lining up with more of a 4-3-3, Davis anchoring a midfield 2 of Young and Harris in front of an unchanged defence. Then up front, Thomas through the middle with Rutherford on the left and Bickerstaff on the right. It was a formation which allowed Wrexham to control the game and allowed Wrexham to control possession and position on the pitch. We looked secure. However, it also maybe lacked a little bit of punch. Certainly in the first half hour when we had a lot of the ball but didn't really create anything. The only chances in that first third of the match came when Tyrone Williams, the wing-back on the right for Solihull, found some space and drove forwards. On the first occasion, he hit in a flat cross, which found James Ball about 10 yards out. He turned, hit the shot much too close to Lainton, no great danger there. And then, about 5 minutes later, Williams again went driving down the flank, cut inside, had a shot himself from just outside the box, but Kelleher made a good block. And that was all Solihull had to offer until the goal. Wrexham started to come alive around the half-hour mark. A nice cross by Reckford was half cleared. Jordan Davis met it on the edge of the area with a powerful volley, but a defender, Gleeson, had got close and managed to block it. But when it span out, Wrexham broke and had a lovely little move down the right-hand side. Hall Johnson finding Bickerstaff, who played an excellent pass around the corner. It was helped on to Hall Johnson by Thomas, and he drove a good cross in, but it evaded everybody in the goalmouth. Then came the closest Wrexham came to a goal, as it turned out, in the 34th minute. Again, another excellent breakaway after Carter had been caught in possession. And Paul Rutherford, 25 yards out, drove in a powerful shot. It took a deflection, looped over the keeper, but he just managed to backpedal and make an excellent save, touching onto the underside of the crossbar, where it dropped down and away to safety, about a foot in front of the goal line. Frustration for Wrexham, but they fought back, and again within a minute had made another chance, another nice touch this time by Bickerstaff. Hall Johnson swinging in across to the far post, and Jamie Record against his old team, arriving unmarked, headed in the side netting. I'm sure he will have felt he should have done better. There was one more chance in the second half, a free kick lofted into the edge of the area. Thomas helped it on well with his head, and Theo Vassell, driving down the left channel from a tightish angle, couldn't keep his finish down and blasted it over the bar. So Wrexham finishing the half very much on top, And the second half started that way until a corner was conceded and the goal came. It was not a goal, I don't think, that you can really point a terrible finger at anybody over. Cranston put a good ball into the near post, and Ball, 6 yards out, met it with a terrific header. He beat Vassell in the air. Vassell would have wished he'd managed to go up and win it himself, obviously. But these things happen, and the header had such terrific power that even though Leighton got across and got a decent hand to it, he had no chance of keeping it out of the net. He did well to get a touch on it, to be honest. It ricocheted into the roof of the net, and Solihull had the lead. And then you felt Dean Keats had a problem on his hands. He had a system which was allowing his team to control the game, but not create all that many opportunities. He needed to shake it up, and he did it by bringing on Anthony Jeffrey. Perhaps surprisingly for Jake Bickerstaff, it looked pretty lively. But Jeffrey came on the left-hand side and struggled to make an impact. But the game was all Wrexham pretty much now until the final whistle. Davis tried a speculative free kick from 30 yards, a bit too far out possibly, and too straight, an easy save for Boot. Then Luke Young, who was, as always, a hive of industry, but played some really nice quality passes from high up positions in the second half. Slid in a lovely through ball. Kwame Thomas one-on-one with the keeper. Credit Boot, he came off the line extremely quickly, made a good save with his foot. The ball span out to the edge of the area, was fed to Davis, who hit a powerful 20-yard shot towards the bottom right corner, but Boot was able to get across and hold it. Boot was hurt in his clash with Thomas and had a long spell of treatment. It almost felt like the signal for Solihull to start running the clock down. Please don't get me wrong, I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to see Wrexham do that. But we all know that Solihull can have a bit of a snarl in the way they play sometimes. In the last half hour of Kyle Storer orchestrating affairs, they really did. There's a lot of spoiling. The game got very fractious. There were lots of stops. And, well, maybe I'll go back and run a stopwatch on all of that and see how much time we actually played in the last half hour. It didn't feel like much. Wrexham kept pushing though. Again, Young playing doing very well to drive forwards and play a nice one-on-one ball to Rutherford, who seemed set to drive the shot in. Carter made a superb tackle on the Wrexham winger. Then Davis swinging in a corner from the right-hand side. 16 minutes left and a massive moment in the match. A huge shout of handball for Wrexham. I've got to say, I know there's been controversy lately about what's a handball or what's not. For my money, this was a blatant penalty. Davis swinging it into the near post, and Ball, the goal scorer, attacking it with his arm stuck out from his body. There didn't seem to be any player obstructing the view. There was nobody flicking it on. So the ball came straight from the corner to the edge of the 6-yard box. Plenty of time to react. He came out and hit it with his raised arm away from his body in front of him. How that was not given as a penalty, I can only assume the referee was unsighted and the linesman didn't help him, because it was a penalty in anyone's book. So cruel moment there for Wrexham. They kept plugging away. 2 minutes later, Davis again doing well with a nice pass out to the flank. Jeffrey swinging in across. Rutherford though just couldn't get his shot away, faced with the goal straight in front of him, 10 yards out. And soon afterwards, Rutherford would be taken off, and Elliot Durrell given 12 minutes to try and make a difference. Soon after that, though, Solihull made that one chance on the breakaway. Cranston doing well to dink in across. Archer 15 yards out, unmarked, heading it wide. It was a chance, but like I say, it's a long way out to score with a header, and he wasn't able to hit the target. Wrexham made another change. Jordan Ponticelli making his first appearance of the season, replacing Jay Harris, as Wrexham just tried to throw more bodies forwards, and in added time they certainly did that. Great tackle high at the pitch by Fika Callagher as he was getting back from a set piece, allowed the ball to spin to Vassell. He squared it onto Durrell from the edge of the area. It's a powerful shot, but it took a deflection and whistled just wide of the left post. Young swung the corner in. Vassell got up 6 yards out but couldn't control his header and put it wide of the right post. And then 6 minutes added, but as that time had already been played, Wrexham got another range of set pieces. A free kick on the right flank. Rob Leighton went up for it, and Young swept a nasty ball in, which looked like it was going to be met by Leighton's head 6 yards out, but a defender managed to get up in front of him and just flick it beyond him for the corner. Leighton stayed up for the corner. There was a scramble. Nothing came of it, and the final whistle blew. And like I say, frustration for Wrexham. I guess the way I would sum it up is that although the general performance was good, you did get a little bit of a feeling of who's going to score the goal. If you think about it, On Saturday, we had to rely on a free kick and a wing-back driving forwards and getting the deflection. I like our forward options, but I got a gut feeling that Ponticelli is the one who's actually got goals in him. We need to get him on the pitch and firing. And what we saw today was that Rutherford was the one who tended to get into the best positions. But as we know, Paul Rutherford has many fantastic qualities, but he's not one of life's finishers. So he was the one who got into the best positions. And although actually he has a very good scoring record against Solihull, because a third of all his Wrexham goals have come against Solihull. You don't really want too many chances to be falling his way. Bickerstaff was industrious on the right, but more in a creative sense. And Thomas wasn't really involved that much in the first half. To be fair, he wasn't given much to work with. In the second half, when Wrexham went more direct, trying to put pressure on Solihull, he really showed his value. He won a lot of headers. I was impressed. We weren't able to capitalise upon it, and I was glad when he brought Ponticelli on alongside him to see if he could run onto something. It didn't actually work out that way. Going through the team again, Leighton didn't have much to do, in all honesty. He couldn't help the goal. Across the back, the defence were in control, to be frank. Vassell continues to look very impressive and calm, and his pace continues to be an asset. And Kelleher, again, was Kelleher. He was fronted up a couple more times. He is quite slow on the turn, and he did have a couple of issues with that. Oh, in one of them, by the way, I've obviously watched it on the stream. The commentator was convinced he was booked. I've seen on PA, who provide the data, they've said it's booked, although that will be provided by the home team. They don't send employees out to games. I didn't see a yellow card. He went to his back pocket, and I thought that was why they thought it was a yellow card. I think he was only going to get his spray. It should have been a yellow card, because basically Kelleher got too tight to his man, was turned, and just grabbed hold of him and pulled him back. So I think it should have been a card. I'm not sure if it was, though. Jay Harris definitely got booked for a bit of a wild tackle from behind. We had no chance of winning the ball, which the Solihull players were demanding a red for, possibly more just to keep the pressure on the ref and run the clock down than anything else. But Kelleher was good, despite a couple of moments where they managed to turn him and get him behind. Again, Hall Johnson record is solid at fullback. Hall Johnson again got forward more than Record and put a couple of decent looking balls in, but Record delivered some into the box as well. Harris and Young again were impressive as a combative pairing. Young again is playing a little bit further forwards now, and seems to be enjoying it, making interceptions in the opposing half, setting up opportunities. This passing was very, very good. And then behind him, Jordan Davis was excellent, I thought, as a defensive midfielder. Very in control, bit of a quarterback, pinging long balls wide, or just working accurate, fast, snappy balls into the feet of Thomas. And I think Jordan Davis is a class act, to be honest, and he certainly looked it on his debut. And then, like I said, up front, I've already mentioned, Durrell Ponticelli didn't really get a chance to get into the game. Jeffrey didn't really achieve much, in all honesty. In terms of man of the match, tricky decision. I'm going to go Luke Young. The other name in my mind was Jordan Davis. They were tidy and they were neat. But Dean Keats has got a little bit of a problem here. This side has got good depth and good quality, and is well set up, and we haven't got the ball. You expect that of Keats. But that lack of a goal scorer is telling. I know people will complain about the fact that we were not that creative the last time Dean Keats was manager, but that was more an issue of creativity. I think this side has got creativity. Has he got the man in the box to finish it off? I think Thomas is an excellent target man. Yusuf is injured, to be fair, and Ponticelli needs to get to full fitness before I think we can really see this team get properly into its stride. So, frustration, but hey, there's 44 games left. Let's not get too panicky about it. With a final score of Solihull Moors 1, Wrexham 0, I'm Mark Griffiths from the Wrexham AFC media team. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe as well so you don't miss out on any of our content, and click the bell to get notifications.